Welcome, welcome, friends. So today is going to be one of those behind the scenes, get your systems together kind of chat. Now, this is not the flashy stuff. This is not like the most sexy, right? It's not the kind of thing that people necessarily get excited about when you first start podcasting. But let me tell you, okay, so I had a side note. I had a teacher in high school who would say selective listeners listen now or something like this, or this is for all you selective listeners. And then it was like a heads up that this is something important. So it might be on the test or you really need to know this. He was like, I think he was an English teacher and the driver's ed teacher. So anyways, selective listeners, listen up. This is one of the most important tools that you will ever create. If you really want to grow your show, stay consistent, and most importantly, avoid burnout because you know me, like I say it all the time, I see burnout over and over and over again. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about systems and SOPs. So having systems within your podcast production, management systems, meaning what systems are helping you run your podcast, and then SOPs, meaning the trainings and the step-by-step guides for each task within your whole project management system. Now, if you are thinking like, Kai, I just want to make good content. Trust me, I get you. I hear you. I'm with you. And we need to be doing that. But here's the truth. You can't scale something you're rebuilding from scratch week after week after week, or something that you're like hustling to get done, right? We're not doing that. That is not you. You are so far beyond that. You're here for the real results. And you listening to this episode shows that to me, and it shows it to yourself. So today we're going to talk about why systems and SOPs matter and why I am so passionate about them, even if you're a solo creator. I'm going to actually share how I set mine up, and I will point you to episode 11 after this if you want like a full breakdown of my project management system. So this is a little different than the project management flow. I will reference it a few times throughout the episode, and the project management is really like the overall tasks and list of tasks that you use to make sure that you get your episodes out into the world. But I break that down in detail with a freebie in episode 11. So if you have not checked that out, this episode and episode 11 will go so well together. So I recommend checking that out. I will put it in the show notes for you as well. And then I'm also going to give you one of my favorite hacks that you can literally start implementing right away to save time, reduce stress, and make it way easier to get the support that you need to produce and create your podcast. Because in the long run, I really believe we should always be thinking, especially with our podcast, is how can I actually hand this off to somebody? Like, I believe that there's so many pieces of your podcast process that you can hand off. And so I want to make sure that you feel supported and that when you do hand it off, that it's really seamless and you feel like the person who's taking it off your hands is doing a good job the way you want it done. Okay, so why do systems matter, even if you are a solo podcaster? When you don't have systems, when you don't have a flow, your podcast becomes a weekly scramble. Like, raise your hand if you can relate to this. You're thinking, okay, did I write a newsletter? What is the episode? What am I recording? Oh my gosh, I have to put it together. Did we send the guest a notification or graphics? Did I remember to upload the YouTube description? Like, it becomes a headache. It becomes exhausting, to be honest, right? That cycle leads to burnout. And it's one of the reasons that podcasters tend to go quiet, right? They're like, I'm done. I didn't realize how much work it was. I thought I just hopped on, recorded, and boom. But when we create a system once, and I want to hone in that word once, like take the time to create the system, you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel week after week after week. You can duplicate your process, stay 2 steps ahead all the time. And when you're ready to bring help in, it will be plug and play for them. So my favorite system for all of this is a templated task flow. So I do go into this further in episode 11, but let me kind of set the stage for you, and it's going to flow into everything else we talk about. So I batch about 10 episodes at a time, and I duplicate a pre-built template inside of Asana. Asana is my project management platform. There's Monday, there's Trello, lots of options. I just use Asana. And inside of that pre-built template is every single task from scripting to promoting to go live. And it's mapped out with deadlines, owners, and SOP links. SOP links. We're going to talk more about that very soon. So I've mentioned this before, but I have two people who help me with my podcast production and content creation. So I have Daniel, who is my lovely, wonderful VA. I don't know. I don't want to do life without him. We've been together for a long time, over 5 years. And then my sister, Bree, she's kind of like my podcast manager / content support person. And so when I duplicate this episode board, the entire flow is ready to go. And that alone removes so much mental load. It really, really does. So again, I'm a firm believer in having a podcast production and project management system set up. And within that, having a template that you can literally duplicate time after time, episode after episode, batch after batch. Okay, so let's talk about templates, because I am a big fan of setting yourself up with templates instead of creating them every single time you need to create something new. So I try to have a template for basically everything that I possibly can. I find it saves me time, it keeps my quality consistent, and it makes it easier to, again, hand off. And so here's what I have templates for. I have kind of a script template that I know this is the flow of what I like to do. I have a newsletter template. I also have a template for YouTube descriptions, for my YouTube cover, for show notes. So if you have also been in my world, you know that I am huge on creating blog style SEO rich type of show notes. And there's a very specific template I follow, my clients follow, my students follow. And so I have that template and I use it every single week for my show notes. I even have guest emails for their correspondence as a template. So I email them 1 week before we record and I use the template and fill it out. And then I email them 1 week before the episode goes live. Same thing. I copy that template and then I send it over to them. And I actually have it saved in my email platform so that I can just use it as a canned email, update certain things, and then send it off. And if I'm being honest, I just mentioned a few, like it doesn't stop there. For every task inside my project management flow, I also have an SOP. And so this is something that walks people or my podcast support through how I specifically want this task completed. All right, let's get into SOPs. So SOPs, I'm pretty sure most of us know what those are, but they are standard operating procedures. And I am such a believer in having an SOP for every single task. If I ever not only want to hand it off, but if I have to hand it off, say something happens to me and I need to get my episodes done or whatever the case might be, my tasks are ready to go. Like I have these SOPs. I can hand them off to anyone. Like I can say to my husband, honey, come on in. Here's the SOP. Go run with it. Like it will walk him through step by step by step that specific task. And guess what? It also means that I'm not spending hours trying to train someone new. I just send them the task with the SOP linked and they're off and running. Even if you don't have a team yet, SOPs are literally future proofing your business. It is a way to make delegation efforts so easy that you can be ready whenever. On top of that, we might forget how we did something the last time we did it, right? So it's always good to have these SOPs because when we find a system that works, we must document it. Okay. I'm so glad that you are this far with me because I am sharing my favorite hack for creating SOPs fast. Are you ready? If you've tried to create SOPs in the past, like let's talk about pre-AI, then you know how big of a pain in the ass it is. Like that is the last thing you want to do. It is not sexy. It takes time, but not with this hack. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. You are going to screen record yourself doing the task. So I use Loom. I just screen record myself doing whatever, whether it's uploading a broadcast or writing a newsletter or recording an episode or grabbing a link, anything like that. I then go into Loom and I go to the option of where it says transcript. I think you have to have a paid option for Loom to get this, but it's worth it. So you go and you grab the transcript and then you upload it to something like ChatGPT and you literally say, create a step-by-step SOP based on this transcript. It is going to give you a beautifully fleshed out SOP. And so not only do you have a video of you doing it, you have it in written form as well, which is great because whoever wants a written form, it's there. Whoever wants a video form, it's there. Easy peasy. So then you take those links and you put them inside your project management task. So again, for me, Asana, whatever tool you use. And then you also have, so you have your template linked up, right? You also have your SOP written and your SOP video. And the cool thing is when you have this set up as a template, when you duplicate it, the SOP and the template links all come with it. So it's really simple. It works so well. Okay, so then I have a bonus tip that can also be really supportive for your podcast creation process. And I actually had one when I worked for Amy, and it was, oh my gosh, I don't even remember, but it was like this massive Google Doc that had all these like various links and flow. And oh my gosh, it was so big. We laughed about it all the time, but you need to create a podcast creation guide. And so inside of that, literally, it doesn't have to be fancy. You can just do a Google Doc. You are going to pull together all your SOPs, all your templates, the flow of your every time you batch, and you just organize it by phases, right? So probably like this: pre-production, recording, post-production, and then marketing or promo. And then you link to each task with each SOP and template. This becomes your master playbook, and you'll definitely thank yourself every time you batch or delegate, especially if your podcast grows, you start to monetize it through your email list, your offers, and you're able to hire somebody to come on. You can literally be like, here's the playbook, here's the templates, here's the SOPs, check it out. Please let me know if there's anywhere I can simplify. Boom, they've got it all in the bag. So, all right, I know this, like I said at the very beginning, I know this isn't the sexy part of podcasting. It's not the part that you want to, share on Instagram, but it's the reason that I have been able to stay consistent and my clients have been able to consistent creating high quality content and then focus on building marketing momentum, promo momentum, growing our audiences without consistently being in the weeds and also not just giving up after a handful of episodes. Yes, it takes effort upfront, but once you build it out, it pays you back tenfold. It gives you space, flexibility, room to grow. So like I mentioned a couple times throughout here, if you are interested in hearing like my full actual project management system, go check out episode 11. I'll walk you through the entire project management process from start to finish. And then I also have a free resource in there where I do a screen share of me walking you through what my actual template looks like. It's awesome. You're going to love it. Okay, so if today's episode helped you in any way, please let me know. I would love if you screenshot the episode, tag me in Instagram. So my handle is at Kylie J. Chandler. And you can also DM me and tell me, what you're going to do, what templates you're going to make, what SOPs you're going to be creating this week. And then, of course, if you have not already, please hit follow and leave a quick rating or review. This helps my show reach more podcasters who want to grow their audience and their business and monetize their podcast with their offers. So until next time, I am so grateful that you're here. Thank you. And I'll see you again soon.